Hi everyone, welcome to the PaperArtsy YouTube channel. I'm Leandra and it's time for another topic on the PaperArtsy blog. For the next 2 weeks, which is the 12th to the 26th of July 2015, we are looking at the topic of time. And time is something that there's loads of embellishments, loads of products out there that lend themselves to this theme really easily. Like for example, on these Prima brads, there's little clock faces, numbers, compass. All of these elements are what I kind of think of as a time type theme. So this is from the Archivist collection that Prima has. They have lots of coordinating products, like there's these little matchboxes which have phrases on them. Toujours means always, or yeah, all the time. And so there are little words and things on there that also reflect that theme. There's these great little tag packets that have all kinds of embellishments and things in there. And the coordinating paper line is really quite a vintage style, but there's lots of clocks embellishments. And that also really lends itself to this theme. Great little, I don't know, just all kinds of elements that are really cool. These little tiny things you can cut out, or you can use these larger ones as a background. And it's quite interesting how they've managed to mix some floral type backgrounds in with what is quite a sort of masculine theme. So I think these papers are really useful. It's nice that they're double-sided because there's heaps in there. So that's that. You could also perhaps take a look at these sorts of things. More embellishments. These ones sort of slip under the radar a little bit. They're from the Timeless Memories collection. Again, it's a theme that relates to time. Keys are another thing. You've got watches on there, so locks and keys work really well. Frames always come in handy. And there's another sort of key lock type door plate thing there too. So those are worth looking at. And don't forget, with all of these metal embellishments, it's really easy to cover them in paint and add treasure gold so that you can coordinate them to your project. Or if you want to really highlight the relief on there, leave them as they are and just put some treasure gold straight over the top of that as it is, and you'll get that really great contrast. And of course, treasure gold is permanent on top of metal. You don't need, it's not going to wipe off. It's not going to remove when you wipe over it with your fingers. Once it's on there, it's there to stay. So it's very easy to apply to any metal or plastic embellishments to totally change the look of them. Another thing I know that you guys use a lot, and these also relate to the time theme, all the numbers and trinkets from the Vintage Trinkets collection, also from Prima Marketing. These are really great. I've seen these cut in half and used on projects as well, or taking sections out of them. So those are really useful. You can put flowers in the middle of them, or you can fill them up with Uti and make them into frames. There's all kinds of ways of using those. Don't forget, there's these amazing frames that Prima now do as well. This is really deep, so it's really kind of cool embellishment that's got great depth to it, so you can easily build up all kinds of layers inside there. It's already got a distressed effect, but don't let that stop you from doing more to it. And if you go online or go and look at our this product on our website, you'll see other art that I've found online and put pictures of relative to this particular shape. There's also this bicycle one, similar thing with a frame, and that also is quite handy. So it's a nice product to work with, and to change all of this to a different colour is quite easy to do. Don't forget your stencils. There are things like always lots of time related stencils that are really good, and this one's got days of the week on it, or other time related words, so you can look at those as well. Moving on to the stamps that we have that might work really well with the time theme, there's plenty of quotes. This one here is one from one of Sarah Newman's plates, and there's heaps of quotes that we have in our collection that relate to time. In Darcy's collection, she always uses cogs and gears and elements that reflect time. So don't forget to check out her stamps. There's a clock on here that's snuck into the heart. So there's heaps of ideas that you could incorporate into the theme there. Here's another one of Darcy's where she's got the little clock on the front of the house there, but these are all sort of very industrialized style houses that work really well with this theme as well. Moving on to hot picks, Time as a topic has always been really prevalent on all of our stamps, from Ink in the Dog collection when we first started and through to Hot Picks. And you can see that really clearly here on these collaged clocks that we did back in 2010. They're so popular even now, and I really like how time elements like clock faces just make the greatest of embellishments. They're so easy on a dimensional level to layer out. Even here on this Hot Pick Extra plate, there's little clocks and postmarks which work really well as well. Then sometimes we incorporate them into an actual stamp design. So this one here, the clock actually makes up the head of this whole collaged piece. And this one as well, we always used to call this guy Mr. Hitchcock because he kind of looks a little bit like Alfred Hitchcock. And there's gears in the background there, and there's also a compass, which of course is another element that's quite relevant. Here we go, another compass. So you see they just come up all the time. And then of course there's our newest Hot Pick 1502, and there's plenty of clock elements on there as well. So let's look at something completely different. What about Squiggly ink? Well, within the Squiggly ink, this is a hand-drawn collection, so it's a much more crisp and clean style. But these are some of the minis, and this one here is another little background that can be used as a quote, or it can be used as a background element and stamped repeatedly. There's a little clock here. This guy, we called him Archie, and we actually made these into some great little things to give away once at a show, and sort of layered him out on top of the background. Now there's a series within Squiggly ink, within the large stamps, called Ding and Dong. And the Ding and Dong theme is all about time. So these numbers were designed so that you could use them perhaps on a clock face. Nice set of numbers. Again, here's a similar arch to this one, but it hasn't got the center of the arch filled out, and it's a little bit bigger, so this can be used as a frame. Again, another quote on there. Now these, I've never really explained these properly online, but the idea of these is that you can make yourself a bird. So it's sort of a build a bird concept, using the clock as the tummy for the bird. You can put the head on top and give some legs. There's clock hands there. I've actually got an example of that coming up. Here's another one. So I think there's 3 or 4 stamps where all the clock faces, the bird heads, are all interchangeable. This one's just got a fob as well that you can pop on the top if you don't want to have a head on your bird. And then also within the series, that's a more traditional collage. A little background stamp there of clocks. And the wings also are really useful because the wings are designed so the curve there fits perfectly around these clock faces. And actually, I've got an example to show you. So here's a sample from many years ago that I made using 10 Seconds Studio, and this was one of their coloured metals. The metal was put onto card, which is why I can shape it. It's not metal on its own, it's actually backed onto black cardstock. And then all these other little embellishments were made, and there was obviously some of it was puffed out to give you that, that raised effect. And back then we were using texture paste and different coloured paints to create the background as well. So there's quite a lot going on in there, but that shows you how you can use the clocks to build a bird, add the legs and the wings. That shows you that quite easily. Right, the last collection that I want to show you is from our Ink in the Dog collection of stamps. And I've got quite a bit of artwork to go with this, although some of it's not entirely relevant, but I just found this little book. I was going through all my old bits and pieces that were tucked away, and I found this little book and I thought it's such a great idea. The contrasting colours. This is actually using Urban Snapshots, a frame from one of our Urban Snapshots stamps. And but it's just a really great idea where you've got the book and the little apertures seeing through to the layers behind. And there's a nice little bit of metal on the back there too. So that's one idea. In the vein of mini books and things, there's also this little one here where you've got a really nice layered frame on top of the little niche This is a slide mailer, so we used to sell these years ago. They're a great little thing, and you put your slide in there so that you can post samples around. I guess medical people do that, but they're really cool things to alter as well. So again, it's not directly a time theme, but you can see that that kind of idea can easily be adapted. And then I found this. It's using Kids Plate 1 stamp, so there's a clock on the front there. It's a journal, obviously, but I found this in my pile, and funnily enough, it was made by Jo Firth Young many, many years ago as a sample for us. And it's got all sorts of other stamps of ours, background stamps on there. But again, she was still using craft card a long time ago. So that's that. So let me show you some of the ink and the dog stamps. Now these are always available unmounted or easy mounted. If it comes unmounted, then it's like that, a plate of rubber, and the expectation is that you will mount that onto foam and cut the stamps out yourself. We don't recommend that you use these directly onto an acrylic block. They won't stick, so you would need to use some sort of adhesive if you tried to mount it straight onto a block, like a glue stick or something. But really, you need the foam to get a good impression when you stamp an image. So that's why we prefer that you buy them on Easy Mount, or you mount them yourself onto Easy Mount. But these stamps are, as you can see, A6, so that's in American terms a quarter plate. In European terms, A6 is obviously half of an A5, so it's a quarter of an A4. And these stamps are quite a nice size to work with. Within this collection, there's lots of other elements. So here you've got this lovely collage style clock face. Here's a sample using that. So there's the stamp, and I just used part of the stamp. Again, this is on cream 10-second studio metal. There's actually an acetate layer in the background and another layer underneath. I think this might be an article I did for Craft Stamper many years ago. And again, it's layered onto a purple sort of a metal. I think that might have been called periwinkle, and then stamped into texture paste around the outside. But the feature is just puffing out with the metal the clock face, and that's a great technique using clocks because it gives that wonderful dimension. This set I love. It's a huge collage stamp, so that's a really nice one to use all kinds of situations. And you've got a couple of clocks up the top. Again, this one's a smaller collage stamp and another clock. This one here, Clocks Plate 4, has got a really good background stamp down the bottom, and that's a really nice large clock face. All of these are really great stamps to use in heaps of situations. We've got a big cogs background on there. And then lastly, we've got 2 numbers plates. Now Mark did an amazing job of collaging up the numbers on here. And the intention was that you could use them on clocks if you wanted. So they've each got their own little number on the bottom, but this one's also got number 12 on it. So if you wanted to have that at noon on your clock, you could. So that's why there's 2 sets here. Really nice size, and they've got a really nice bold edging to them. And then don't forget, we also have some minis. So within the minis, there's a nice gears background, which is really useful. And then these other collage stamps, and the minis always come on Easy Mount foam ready for you to work with. I'm just going to finish up by showing you my arch frame that we did at one of our artsy crafts several years ago. This is a really good example of a time theme. Obviously that is the theme that we were going for on this whole thing. So you've got some molds that we used, 10-second studio molds, and really refined those. We did a bit of embossing, and then the center is all fabric that was stamped up with the time theme. So we stamped the images directly onto calico, and then I actually used distress inks to just brush with a stipple brush some distress ink onto the background here, just to add a little bit of colour. And then the final step was embellishing. So there's little beads that are there in the middle of the clocks and around the edge of that clock, and the same down the bottom there. It was finished off with some Leandra beads at the bottom, which are my Uti beads. These have been a little bit hammered because this has travelled a lot. This piece, it's been on the road with us many times. So there you have it. That is the time theme for the next blog topic, and it closes, the challenge will close on July the 26th, so you've got 2 weeks to join us and show us how you like to work with this theme. We look forward to seeing what you make, and thanks for dropping by the PaperArtsy YouTube channel, and we'll see you again really soon.